Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Ecoffee with Experts. I'm your host, Matt Fraser. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about how to kickstart your inbound marketing strategy for greater success with Zach Chapman. Zach is the co-founder and digital marketing specialist at Sparkinator, an inbound marketing certified HubSpot agency headquartered in Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. He has a bachelor's of science degree in management information systems from the University of South Florida, and has been helping both small and medium-sized businesses. He's been helping both small and medium-sized businesses harness the power of the internet to scale and grow their businesses using the latest data-driven marketing techniques and strategies. We're not helping businesses to leverage the power of the HubSpot platform and internet. Zach enjoys spending time with his family and training for marathons. Zach, thank you so much for being here. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, and that sounds a lot better coming from you than it does coming from me, just because it's smooth. So that's really cool to kick off. I should have you kind of trail me around and introduce me everywhere.
Hey, right on. So, you've had an interesting journey so far. I'm just wondering, what were you always wanting to be an entrepreneur when you were growing up? Like when you were in kindergarten, were you the kid with the lemonade stand, or,
Yeah, a little bit. So my brother and I co-founded Sparkinator, which is a marketing agency, and we had kind of like schemes, we'll call them, at that age, like maybe more in like around 10 years old, we bought like a gumball machine, with saving up, doing like chores around the house and, mowing other people's lawns and stuff like that. Oh, yeah. We're like 12 or something. But yeah, we bought a gumball machine and put it in, a local restaurant, and lost a bunch of money doing that. But it was a cool kind of mini experience, that was the first path to entrepreneurship. So we kind of were always toying with the idea. I mean, the gumball machine was an absolute nightmare in terms of like profitability, but it was only like $100 gumball machine with like $20 worth of gumballs. So yeah, I guess we kind of had like this in the back of our mind. We fell in love with Shark Tank, as I'm sure many entrepreneurs do as well. So we kind of fell in love with entrepreneurship from there.
All right, on. Was there anybody that influenced you in that regard?
So my dad, he worked in a corporate kind of sales gig for many years, but he was always trying to scheme and get a what's it called? Get a business off the ground. So he started a business, a tutoring company in St. Charles, Illinois, which is like a suburb of Chicago, excuse me. He started that when I was probably like 12, around the same time of like the gumball machine. And, him and my mom ran that for many years, and they actually just sold it a year or two ago. So,
a tutoring business.
Yeah.
All right, on. That sounds pretty neat. And so is it you and your brother and your family that run Sparkinator?
Yeah. So it's me and my brother, and then my dad as well. He's kind of on like the board. He's not full time, but what his kind of role is, I get myself into a sticky client situation. He'd be like, yeah, back in the 90s, this happened, and here's how I got myself out of the pickle. Right. So he's just got deep wisdom. But it's more just like, we're tapping into that, not necessarily like he was not joining client meetings and like stuff like that, but still very influential.
Yeah. But so he's, you're leveraging his years of experience and wisdom in business and life to, navigate, which, it's always helpful to have a mentor. That's for sure. And even more cool that it's your father. So what drew you to, digital marketing?
So the tutoring business, my dad was struggling with the marketing for his tutoring business, the digital marketing. And I this was in like when I was a senior and junior in college, and we'd kind of been talking about it for that whole time. And then as well, slightly after college. And we'd kind of been just like, wow, like this stuff's tricky. It's tough. And like, and so my dad had this problem where, he's kind of an old school guy, and he was like, okay, like he's a millennial. He's been on Facebook before. So obviously he'd be good at Facebook marketing. Right. And like, can give us buku bucks with Facebook marketing and, Instagram or whatever. And so that's kind of why he thought of doing it with me, which I've seen other entrepreneurs kind of do. They get like a kid who's like 22 and just like was like, all right, you're in charge of digital marketing. Good luck. Right. And maybe you've seen that as well. I assume you have.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you start doing digital marketing then did you start doing that for his tutoring business?
Yeah. Yeah. So we started, I was working at AOL at the time, and was kind of doing it as like a side hustle, and was helping him on the back end and helping him out with my brother. And we were kind of like, wow, like this is kind of a mess. This is kind of really tough. Digital marketing is really tough and tricky. And we still were terrible at it. But we were like, hey man, I bet other people are struggling with this too. So we kind of did it based on our own incompetence. We built a business and our own like struggles. We were like, I bet other people are struggling with this too. And turns out everyone's struggling with it.
Wow.
And yeah.
So your entire agency was birthed out of helping your dad asking for help. Yeah. And you guys learning how to help him and then realizing that other people were struggling with it as well. I thought, man, we can help other people with what we've learned.
Yeah, exactly. And like, we kind of didn't thrive with helping, my parents' tutoring business out, but it was kind of enough to like get us kickstarted and, kind of see like, okay, look, well, there is a path to success here, and there is a path to, doing this for other people as well. So,
yeah. What resources did you seek out to learn and grow in the aspect of digital marketing?
Yeah, I mean, we used the great World Wide Web and just Googled everything under the sun. And ultimately, where we found success was, well, one, we kind of really liked HubSpot's like practices around, hey, like the philosophy that kind of created, I think, to a degree, like inbound marketing, and like that we really liked that philosophy, and really that resonated with us. And they kind of had this partnership program that allowed us to be able to grow and scale inside of it. And that was a really cool opportunity to kind of get taught by, experts who are already kind of doing it. Because at this point, we really had no clue what we were doing. We kind of maybe succeeded a little bit for my parents, and we needed some like handholding for sure. We're kind of just two guys with no experience and no contacts who were like trying to start a marketing business. So we leveraged a lot of their training, the HubSpot Academy, but also like guys like Neil Patel, like followed him like crazy, like the SEO stuff as well. Just, all of the big online resources. So yeah,
I remember when the authors or founders of HubSpot came out with inbound marketing. That was a book that really, really, it was incredibly influential. I know it was. I mean, obviously it sold an incredible amount of copies, and they put it in a way that, they reframed marketing in a way that made sense to, attract people to you rather than, interruption, rather than interruption marketing. You're can't remember what the word is. There's another word for but you're inviting people to come to you, and permission-based marketing, kind of like what Seth Godin teaches, and and providing value to them so that they're attracted to you rather than trying to interrupt them on TV or billboards or even interrupt them with a Facebook ad. I think you can even take that approach with inbound marketing by providing something of value to people first with an ad, rather than just an advertisement saying, buy from us now. It's a different philosophy, a way of thinking, isn't it?
Yeah. And I like it better. And I kind of think the world has already kind of changed based on kind of this philosophy. And I think it will continue to change in that direction. But it's essentially like, put your mind in the buyer's shoes and like, how would they like to be sold to? And like, really that's where it's at. It's like, okay, well, what value and what questions can we get ahead of and kind of get in front of, and, just make sure what we're able to be found when they are ready to ask those questions, as opposed to being like, hey, like for 20 payments of $19.99, and like these infomercials, you buy our knives, we can cut pennies, or I'm not sure what that's like. That's me, and I'm not roasting the people who do that. I think there's a product and a place and a space for that.
Yeah.
But
it works for some. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think inbound marketing differs from traditional marketing techniques then?
Well, inbound is kind of more digital focused, but essentially it's just putting out tons and tons of content that gives people the space and the freedom to research their own and kind of just answers their own questions. And then, so when they do reach out to sales, they're kind of further down the funnel and they're more ready to buy. And then as well, they can kind of self-educate and self-weed themselves out as well, assuming you're putting out good content. But it all starts with huge amounts of content.
Okay. So then what's your process for helping businesses to develop that customer journey with the content?
It's really just, for my agency, it was a lot of thinking through, sitting down with the salespeople or the CEO and just saying, hey, like, what are some of the common questions that you have, that you get asked? So, like, what are like the 50 most common questions, right? And like, those are all like blog articles, white papers, books, there's just tons and tons of content around those. And then they can peddle those in their own and leverage those pieces of those assets rather. And when they're selling, and then as well, they can get found online, and we'll SEO the heck out of them until they, until they're found and rank highly, and then go from there. I think so. It was more just a matter of sitting down with them. That was a key way, was, hey, what's some of the most common questions you get? That's kind of the easy win that we found.
Yeah, absolutely. HubSpot's famous for using lead magnets on their resources page that are just of such extreme value that you can't help but give them your email address, even if it's a fake one. So have you found that same principle of developing lead magnets is effective for other industries besides just digital marketing SaaS platform? In other words, have you ever developed any kind of lead magnets for other verticals and industries that have proven to be effective?
Yeah, we had one. We'd done it for a few. Someone like, they were tech. They were a tech software company too. Okay, never mind about them. But we had one that was for like a commercial cleaning business, right? So they go in and they clean, and this was kind of during COVID, and like we had white papers around like how to de-sterilize, how to sterilize like COVID based things. And then like, oh, by the way, like if you're sterilizing it, we can do it better than you can and more professionally. And, so that was a really good timely white paper that we pumped out and kind of pushed as well. So.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's just one example. I mean, there's a lot more, but there's a lot out there kind of broadly.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think a business that wants to adopt inbound marketing strategies, what do you think the first few steps are that you would advise them on if they wanted to get started with inbound marketing?
Yeah, I would say, one, make sure they're a good fit, right? Like these knife salesmen who are ready to cut a penny are, I don't see inbound marketing like really working for them. But really like it works for considered buying processes where, look, this is a long, hairy buying process that takes time and research to buy, right? I use, the worst example of like who you could do inbound marketing for is like a stick of gum, right? Which the decision-making process is like you're in the checkout line and you see it and you're like, okay, let me buy it there. And they're like zero consideration. It's kind of just pure impulse. And there's no like, is this 5 gum like better? I wonder which one is better for my teeth, right? If they were asking those questions, which their customers pretty much never would read a blog on that, but like that could be something that would work. But yeah, so make sure they're a fit. And then, it's really kind of content based. It's just like, hey, let's pump out all of the relevant content and just become like the industry thought leader on, this topic. And then kind of all the topics around that. And that's kind of where, and HubSpot, I think also coined this, but like created like topic clusters, if you're familiar with those.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is excuse me, businesses with a short sales cycle that don't involve a huge amount of thought, like gum or toothpaste, or
toothpaste,
maybe even shampoo. Like those are just things that maybe a different form of advertising, brand marketing or commercials and so on and so forth would probably be a better fit. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like we had a client that was, a commercial professional cleaner for like, businesses like warehouses, dentists, just professional spaces. And so like, that's a considered buying process. And we kind of found success with them with like helping like, okay, well, should they hire their own team or should they not? Right. We had kind of good gated piece of content around that aspect as well. Right.
How did you go about developing the buyer personas for that particular campaign and company, commercial cleaning?
So luckily our client was pretty savvy and smart. And they kind of had a decent understanding of who they were buying and selling, or who was buying and selling. So they had them somewhat established, but typically, it's kind of like we do like a workshop where it's like over a couple of days and we'll sit down and say, hey, like, who buys, why would they buy, what are these typically look like, what are the kind of questions are they researching? Where are they researching these questions? And typically they'll know. And we didn't get to a point where we would sometimes interview their customers or have them interview their like existing customers of like who they thought would be best fits. But we weren't, going to put in like a whole like research panel to go like start flagging people down on the street and say like, hey, like, are you a person that might be interested in, commercial cleaning services? And then interviewing them. Although I think for bigger companies that makes sense, but
did they have existing customers already that you could use as a profile to generate that information from? Yeah.
And these guys, for this professional cleaning company, they were pretty close with those clients. They had really good relationships with them. So like they did ask them some questions kind of that we prompted and as well. And they had a really good understanding. These weren't chumps. They knew how to do business and what their customers were about. And so they didn't go through the exercise. They kind of just had this floating around. They knew all these answers, but they didn't like distill them. Right. The distillation process, I think is big and hairy and scary ish, but like, it's not in reality, I think. But
was it easier to do targeting and content creation when you figured out what their buyer persona was?
Oh yeah, 1,000,000%. Because I mean, like all the content we'd create was really based on, hey, what's what kind of challenges are these guys having? What are they thinking about when they're like before they even know that their problem is like, oh, our place, like our CEO spends too much time cleaning our dental practice, right? Like they don't even know that that's a problem yet. So we kind of like, for them, we kind of started a super high funnel, like, okay, like dentist was like an avenue that we saw growth in. So it was like, okay, how can we kind of help dentists like be good at running business? And then like say like, oh, one of those problems is, hey, maybe you're like a small business and like you have like 5 dental hygienists and, you're spending too much time doing this and like, you should just outsource it. Right. And so like, we kind of went all the way down, like all the way up, I guess, from like very bottom of the funnel, like,
hey, okay. You're ready. So you worked backwards.
Yeah.
From the bottom
we like
to the top.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And just like, going up the chain, I guess, in terms of like, where can we meet them and give them all the stuff they need in order to help grow and succeed as a business. And sometimes, a lot of the very top of the funnel stuff doesn't include our services. It's just like, hey, like it's like one bullet in the blog article. Right. Yeah. And then like even all the way down. But like, essentially it was just like, hey, like we can help dentists, crush their business. We see this is like a small piece of that.
Are there any tools or resources that you use for mapping out the customer journey that you find helpful?
Yeah. HubSpot has a really cool tool. It's called the Content Planner tool. Okay. And so it does this in like kind of builds this like spider webby tool, which is really kind of topic cluster based. So like if we wanted to become like the the leading authority on like growing your dentist business, we could kind of put that in the center of the topic cluster and then just build out this kind of web of blogs around it, like, and all the 60 million things that could be relevant to that. And then we kind of can become a source of expertise in that area.
Yeah. What about other additional tools to come up with those content ideas besides talking to the CEO and salespeople? Are there any additional tools you use or have found to be helpful to generate topical ideas?
Yeah, we liked SEMrush a lot as well. They're like keyword planning tool. So and like they have every variation of everything in there that like, so we'd just be like how to increase dentistry, and then like just scroll through their list of 60 million topics around that, and then it's and kind of do that for each idea. I could only come up with like 7 ideas relevant, and then like I would type in each one of those 7 and just pull out like the best ones from there. And in terms of like related search terms inside of SEMrush is maybe the most appropriate way to label that.
Oh yeah. How do you take those ideas and then mold them, organize them in such a way that there's different pieces of content that are not cannibalizing? For instance, like there's so many terms, and you can look at all these terms and go, okay, how do you put this into this? These should all go into one article, and this should go into one article, and this should go into one article. And then mapping that to the buyer's journey and doing all that seems kind of complicated and requiring a certain amount of sophistication and planning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so typically what we would do is kind of put like, okay, here's the whole topic cluster. We'd build it out like conceptually first, the whole topic cluster, and then go, okay, look, here's all the pieces of content, and here's like all the keywords that would go into that. Yeah. And then we would just run with that. So it was a little bit, careful planning, and like we were kind of concerned about cannibalizing, right? A little bit, but it was just, I guess, thinking holistically, taking like the holistic approach for planning it out. Hey, look, here's the whole topic cluster. What can we do about, this keyword and this keyword are really close, and it's like, how can we separate them? Do we need to? Maybe we don't. Yeah. We just have different angles, right? Okay, like this angle is going to talk about, cleaning dentist chairs or whatever, and this one's going to talk about sterilizing the tools, right? Okay. So it's maybe the same article, but like coming at it from a different angle.
Sure. What about segmenting the content based on? I understand creating the content clusters. What about segmenting the content in regards to the customer journey or funnel, whatever you want to call it, with things that should be at the top of the funnel versus things should be at the bottom, and deciding which one has more commercial intent, user intent for commercial purposes and conversion purposes versus informational purposes?
Yeah. So we typically started bottom of the funnel, which was like the lowest hanging fruit. Like, what's the number one question the salespeople get? Right. Okay. And then build that out. And then as we go, we kind of move up funnel, right? So we kind of go like this. And so we're casting a little bit of a wider net, getting more leads in broadly, but less qualified. But, we kind of would work then into like making sure that our marketing practices are qualifying them on the back end. Was that maybe your question, or maybe I?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Is there any different, did you decide on different channels to use for different parts of where they're at in the funnel? For instance, SEO and search engine marketing is one thing, but do you find that paid advertising like Google ads and Facebook ads or even other such things play a part in promoting the content and operating in the buyer's journey of getting people into the funnel, even display marketing and programmatic advertising?
Yeah, I think what we did was we kind of did a splice of, hey, look, SEO takes a while, right? It takes months. I mean, sometimes you can get lucky and you get you can get ranked number 1 in the first month, which is increasingly more rare.
More difficult because of people have been doing this for now, like over 20 years.
Yeah. The internet's like bursting at the seams at this point. Although we're kind of just getting started on this, we as humans are just getting started on this crazy thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going to happen in SEO in 700 years. When like, there's just going to be so much, stuff on the interweb and connected. But yeah.
I was talking to somebody about the metaverse on a previous episode, and we only scratched the surface of what's going to be possible. And I mean, I know people are laughing at Mark Zuckerberg right now because of his cheesy avatar. And they think the graphic quality is a joke. And it does look kind of like a joke. I'm not sure if he's shooting for realism or if he was shooting for the cartoon. Maybe he should have explained he was shooting for the cartoon look. Because, hey, if you're shooting for that kind of look, I mean, I love my Bitmoji. My Bitmoji avatar, that's to me, that's cool. I would rather have something like that in the metaverse than a real me portrayal.
Right.
But, maybe he should have communicated that better. So, what's going to be possible with virtual reality in the metaverse is just mind blowing. Being able to put on a VR headset and actually go into an Amazon store in the metaverse and go shopping.
Yeah.
And adding things to your cart and them getting shipped to your house physically is just, it's incredible. Yeah. Like, I don't even know, right now, all of our marketing is based on content and text-based content. And then it's like, I don't even know how, do you think it's going to change? Like, is content always going to be the informational content? Do you think we're going to move more and more towards video?
I thought when I got into this game, like 7, 8, 6, something like years ago, I thought video is the future, and I kind of still do, but like, it takes longer than I thought. I thought we'd be doing like, nobody would be doing blogs. It'd be like only video by this point. I still see blogs being decently relevant, which kind of surprises me. And like, video is increasingly more relevant, but like still just not there. I'm finding myself, I go on YouTube a lot more now, and I'm more likely to YouTube, like, hey, like, how do I fix my oven? I would never read a blog on that, but I'll go to YouTube for that these days, which 5 years ago I probably wouldn't have. But yeah, I think video is the move. It just takes a long time.
Yeah. I think the pandemic definitely accelerated things by several years. I know that I myself started watching YouTube more and more when I got an Android powered TV. And, I've gotten a family member, who I won't say who it is, addicted to YouTube because I bought him a Google TV.
Right.
And, all he watches is YouTube. He doesn't watch normal TV. And just watches YouTube in his retirement. So you can easily figure out who that is. Anyway, but yeah, it's like video is just so engaging, but you're right. There is a cost to it. I like the fact how some websites are, I don't know if they're doing it with AI or not, but you can listen to the article being read instead of reading it. And a lot of publishers are embedding the audio version of their article into the site. And I find it valuable because like I'll ask my phone to like read it on 2 times speed, which my wife thinks I'm crazy. But I can understand it, so that's okay. Because most of the stuff I read or consume, there are things I'm familiar with, so it's not hard for me to understand it on 2 times speed. But yeah, what do you think about that in putting content, the audio version of the content?
I like that. So we had a client that he put out a podcast pretty regularly. We kind of did the opposite. So we did the transcript, and then we kind of just cleaned up the transcript a little bit. Like, boom, that was the blog. And that was right from the CEO's mouth, which he hated writing. But like, he was super knowledgeable about the topic, like in ways I would never be. And like, we got a great like 5 blogs out of one podcast, and just kind of like, just use the transcript and just kind of made it a little prettier, did a little editing in terms of breaking up the paragraphs. So kind of did the reverse. But I do think that's a neat way to do something. Yeah, you could do this for your podcast, right? And then get all over
something
it.
I never thought of. Yeah, absolutely. We definitely do the transcripts, but we haven't thought about breaking them down into additional articles. But yeah.
So I think that was a nice little hack that I'll give him credit for. The CEO, he gets credit for that one. We just kind of made it happen. And then, but yeah, as far as like reading the articles, I do think that's kind of an easy way to do it. I kind of like that a lot.
Because AI is like becoming increasingly, I mean, we were talking about the metaverse. That alone, the artificial intelligence is absolutely, it's mind-boggling what's happening. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on like there's artificial intelligence out there that can now read stuff with a voice, and you can choose the voice, and it's AI, and you feed the content into it, and it spits out the verbal from text. It spits out the audio content. It sounds just like a human being. It's unbelievable.
I saw that.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I saw it in Mission Impossible, and they did that like I don't know, and then like the third or fourth one, like he said, like Tom Cruise says like a sentence, and then like it was like the quick brown fox ran over the lazy river or something like that, where it has all the syllables.
Then, we probably thought they were just faking it. It was movie magic.
Kind of real.
Now it's actually real. Like I've had people share the sites with me. I wish I had bookmarked them. I'll have to go back and figure out where the heck they were. But yeah, no, it's, what about AI for generating content? I mean, there's, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that, for instance?
About a year ago, I looked into it, and it felt, I don't know, maybe I'm just old and skeptical, which I'm not that old, but like, I felt like it's just not there yet. There's no way. And maybe that's just pessimist in me, but I looked into it a little bit. I can't remember which site it was, but it was like the leading site of AI content creation. And I was like, it's probably close. And like, we didn't buy anything from it. We didn't actually do it, but I don't know. I was maybe I'm eager for it. However, maybe pessimistic that it's here today. So we didn't bite the bullet and make the jump. But it's cool. I love the idea. I mean, it'd be cool to just pay robots $0 an hour to do this, just create tons of great content. Yeah.
It's pretty interesting, what's happening. And, with GPT-3 out, and apparently GPT-4 I've been told GPT-4 is going to be able to write direct response sales letters, which, I don't know if that's true or not, but indirect response sales letters are not easy to write. But it's going to be so intelligent that it will be able to do that. So, I think it's only going to get better. I think you're probably right. In some ways, it was, all things start out. I mean, I know when I first started out digital marketing, I had no idea what I was doing, or when I first started out doing most things, we don't know what we're doing, but I think it's only going to get more and more. Do you think it's going to make the internet better or worse? So what I mean by that, there's two things. People could put out use AI to put out really, really crappy content, lots of it. Or it can enable authors to put out even better content if they leverage it properly, and put out even higher quality content. Yeah.
So you're worried about just the noise of AI?
Yeah. Like, I mean, is Google going to have to buy a whole bunch more computers to process the internet because people are putting out so much more content? Is it going to create the level of backlinks that are going to go up in regards to that content? Are they, are they going to be able to differentiate? Is Google going to be able to differentiate between human written content and AI generated? Because I know that I could put two articles in front of people, one human written and the other AI, and they would never in a million years be able to.
Yeah. You think it's that good yet?
Oh yeah. I can show you later.
Wow. Yeah. Show me later. But that's cool.
Off camera, I'll show you.
So maybe what's going to happen, and maybe this is breaking my brain a little bit, like there is no internet. It's just, we search like what we want, and then like the AI just writes it right then and there. What about that?
That's that is mind blowing. You search Google for your question, and the AI just provides the answer.
It just makes the answer right then and there. And it says, here's an article based on what we know.
Shut the front door. That is unbelievable. Wow. Yeah.
I don't know how far we are from that, but one day
That's
I think that's going to happen. One day.
Yeah. Or, heck with search, voice search, the future of voice search and AI assistants. I ask Google lots of stuff. I got one sitting beside me here. It reminds me when these podcasts start, reminds me when to buy my wife flowers and so on and so forth.
I don't talk. So I have an Alexa. I don't want her to hear, but I have one of those, and I pretty much just ask to set timers and turn on music and what's the weather. Those are my three, and I really don't do anything else.
Yeah, I use it for reminders. I use it to ask the weather, what time it is. I'll ask it to tell me a funny joke. There's some. Yeah, I'll ask it to tell me a story sometimes just to be funny. I don't know. There's other things. But I do think, I'll ask. Here's the thing. I'll use it to add stuff to my shopping list for groceries. Yeah. Because I'll forget. I'll say, hey, who, add this to my shopping list, and it will literally add it to my shopping list that is shared with my wife and I. And then I wonder if eventually, we've gone totally on a different tangent, but that's okay. And then I wonder if eventually, when you add those things to your shopping list, you could program the AI to order your groceries for you automatically and get them delivered on a weekly basis without having to go grocery shopping. Yeah. And then you have 17 gallons of milk in your fridge because you never drink it. Yeah. That's what would happen to me. Yeah, I had to pause my auto ship for my vitamins because I had too many. And I was like, okay, stop. I got enough for a year. Or even like the Dollar Shave Club. I got too many razor blades. I have a beard, so I don't really shave all that much as you do. And I don't need them as much. I probably need the blades once every quarter rather than once a month. So I hear what you're saying. So that being said, though, coming back to content, how do you guys measure the success for clients that what you're doing is working? Yeah. So there's a few KPIs, which like the people that we're working with really kind of trust us to kind of build those KPIs, right? One, on the surface, it's how much traffic are we getting? Then it's like, okay, well, so that's just like Google Analytics, right? How much time is being spent on these web pages? How many people are hitting it? Then it's like, okay, well, what is that audience doing? Is this doing anything, right? And so that's where we'll have a lot of CTAs on the website and the blog to kind of get people down the funnel, right? And sometimes, depending on the article, it can be hey, just talk to sales right now. Like, we know your next step is buy, right? For bottom of the funnel content, right? And sometimes it'll be middle of the funnel, so we'll put like a top of the funnel lead gen offer, But essentially, it's do they fill out a form? How many form submissions do they get to? And then well, how much do we get to sales? How much ultimately deals do we give to sales? And then what? And then here's why we fell in love with HubSpot is this full loop closed reporting, where you can kind of see we gave 100, we had 1,000 visitors to this blog. Of that, 1% filled out this form. Of that, 1%, went to sales, and of that, one person bought, right? And we can kind of see so this blog actually is responsible for this many dollars, of sales. And so that's what we like doing. And I find without that, your marketers are really kind of just doing marketing with an arm or two tied behind their back. And you really need, in my opinion, the sales arm, tied to attribution. Otherwise, the CEO, it's just kind of a matter of time until you're fired. And the CEO goes you guys are creating a lot of noise, but what is this doing? It's not working. So you need that full closed loop reporting attribution. Little do a lot of people know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that the marketing department can do their job and generate, and I know this from experience from working at the car dealership, the marketing department can do their entire job generating tons of leads, and the sales department can shit the bed and not close any of them. It's true. Yeah. So, it's important that we as marketers, know what our KPIs are and know what the marketing qualified leads are and what are the things they're indicating and those are conversion points usually, like
Yeah.
lead nurturing, lead scoring, so on and so forth. Does HubSpot have lead scoring where it can score a lead?
Yeah.
So that you can transition from a marketing qualified lead to a sales qualified lead.
Yeah. And so, that's one of the conversations I liked having, is with the CEO and being like, hey, so like, marketing and sales right now do this. They butt heads pretty hard.
Yeah.
We want them to, we needed that to stop. Like, let's come up with some like prearranged terms around like, hey, what is a marketing qualified lead? What is a sales qualified lead? And if we're all on board with an agreement on those, like then here we go. Right.
Yeah.
So those conversations to me are necessary and essential in like the relationships that we have.
Absolutely.
So.
In regards to attribution, how important do you think it is for UTM parameters to be used to measure the success of content marketing campaigns? For instance, publishing content on Facebook and tagging it properly with UTMs.
Yeah, I think it's really important. Ultimately, maybe this is not good, but I have kind of no clue how they work. I just know what they, how they, like what they can do in terms of tracking, but I could not set them up for the life of me. I have really good nerds, and I mean that as a compliment, helping me out.
Yeah. Dan McGaw, who's going to be on the show, he has a resource called UTM.io, which is a UTM management platform that is, to me, foundational for anybody doing marketing. That's why he created it. And his blog is a tremendous resource of information in regards to those things. So yeah, if you want to check it out. I was just curious what your thoughts were on that, because it seems something that I wish I'd learned more of when I first started digital marketing, and something that I now know to be of tremendous value in that regard to properly segmenting and knowing where and what's happening. Of course, tools like HubSpot are fantastic, and other such things for doing those things. And who knows what part, maybe there's even platforms out there that will automatically tell you where the traffic's coming from and add the UTM parameters automatically to the traffic that's coming to the site, which is just
on the back end.
Yeah, which is just mind-boggling. So anyway, that being said, what's one takeaway you want listeners to get from this episode?
Inbound is not a magic bullet. It takes a lot of time to get right. It's, one of the biggest things we have in our sales process is like, get, resetting expectations and saying, look, this isn't a magic bullet. This isn't going to happen overnight. Like, are you in this for the long run? And the long run could be 9 months, could be a year before we're starting to see like serious traction. Like, it's an investment, and getting people on board with that. So I think that is maybe the biggest takeaway. Is we've kind of talked about this, and it sounds maybe magic bullet-y, but like, creating that content takes a long time. And then like, it takes a long time for Google to appreciate it as well. That's really where the biggest waiting game in is, like waiting for Google to go, oh yeah, this is good content. Right. Like, I don't know how,
it's an investment. It's an investment. Absolutely. Of time, resources, money, and, you make enough of an investment to transition your thought process from other traditional advertising methods to, becoming an inbound content marketer or company, and inbound marketing campaigns. You need to provide value, and that value sometimes requires time in order to create enough content, to get enough leverage, to create enough momentum to eventually do that. Otherwise, I think you would agree, people, if they're in need of that fast, then they should start an advertising campaign in regards to paid ads, which isn't bad,
right.
And complement that in your budget with whatever kind of paid advertising you can do to generate those leads and traffic. So anyway, that being said, how can listeners connect with you online?
Yeah, I mean, you can go to my LinkedIn. That's, I guess, the best way to connect with me personally. Or you can find me. I work at HubSpot now. But
do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Right on.
Yeah. So actually, kind of just my agency's still up and running. However, we're mostly just getting kickbacks from like what we sold as HubSpot partners.
Okay.
And so, yeah, now I work at HubSpot, bringing on people into the partner game to become HubSpot partners, which is cool.
Oh, that's awesome. I did not know that. I thought you were still running your agency. So,
no, yeah.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Well, hey, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. HubSpot's a great product. Yeah. They've built an awesome thing. There's no doubt about it. I remember when it came out and I was like, wow, and I was very impressed with it. So, that being said, I'll make sure to put your links in the show notes. And thank you for coming on the show today.
Yeah. Awesome. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Right on.